so I'm Kirsty and I'm going to be your trainer and assessor for this two-part assessment. So the first bit's going to be obviously on nappy changing. Just a bit of background into myself. I've been an early childhood teacher previously to being a training and assessor. I was in the field for about 9 years, worked mainly with like a 0 to 2 room, and then moved, I've also done stuff with the older children as well, but also have a lot of background in changing lots of nappies, so I hope I can be a bit of assistance to you today. Obviously you're all in the trainee role, so I know you've changed the odd nappy between you, but I know you haven't done much on like big nappy changes and just the general hygiene and infection around it, and just making sure that you're changing them properly, and so that we're providing like care for the children. Okay, so first I think we're going to go through just your centre's policies and procedures, just so you know what your centre is expecting of you. So I've got these for you all. They're only quite short policies, so if you want to have a little read through them. So there's just two there. The first one obviously is just the guidelines to the nappy changing, and the other one is the actual procedure. Don't worry about taking in everything about the procedure right now, because obviously we're going to go through that throughout the night. The main objectives that we're obviously getting out of tonight is going to be how to professionally change the nappy of the child and how to respect the child. All those policies you read there, all good?
Yes.
Yeah. You can keep them ones just for future reference. So first, I just want to show you this first. We're going to go back onto it, so I'm going to take it off you. We've got a little task for you later to play with, but I just want to show you these. So this is what your centre has in every room. It's the changing a nappy without spreading germs, but it's just actually the guide to how, like the steps you're meant to take when changing a nappy. So obviously washing hands is a big factor in there, and obviously you have to wash the children's hands as well. That's a step that lots of people forget about, because obviously they're thinking about themselves changing the nappy, but obviously the child, as you'll find, likes to touch the poo and around themselves, and it's just good hygiene and practice when they're toileting. So obviously once we've taken the child to the toilet, you always go and wash their hands. But so the nappy procedure, we try to get that in there early. Okay. Is everyone ready? I'm just going to take that away from you. I need you to
Focus.
do a little task under there. Are you all ready? Thank you very much. So before I start going through the infection control and hazards that can happen throughout the nappy changing, has anyone got any questions or problems that they've faced doing nappy changing so far? Or would you like me just to go through the infection control? Yeah, infection control. So obviously this is quite a big document, so I'm not going to sit here and read through it all with you, because you'll get very bored. But this is mainly the document, and I'll leave this for a copy with you all afterwards, so you can have a read at your leisure. It's like basically just around what causes infections. Obviously when we're changing a nappy, we are dealing with faeces a lot of the time. So you need to make sure that you're not spreading germs from one area to another, making sure you're washing that child's hands so they're not then going and spreading it along to their friends. This just covers what causes infection, but the main thing I wanted to look at with this is how germs are spread and the chain of infection. So this is a little diagram. I'll just pass it around so you can all have a look at it first. So there's 3 main steps to it all, and germs can be stopped being spread at any stage of that. It doesn't have to have gone the cycle for us to stop it. You can stop germs spreading at any stage. So obviously the first one, the germ has a source. So this one called the germ, obviously the soil's nappy. The germ spreads from the source. So if you're not taking your gloves off, or you're not using an open lidded bin, when you've put the nappy into that bin, you're going to have spread germs from, even if you think you've got the clean gloves, like you haven't got anything on you, you're still spreading germs onto that bin. And then the germ infects another person, so then your colleague comes along, opens the bin to maybe put some food rubbish or some general waste into the bin, and then they've got their germs on their hands. So obviously the germ has a source, that can be stopped straight away by getting rid of that source on a bin, what's it called? A lid-free bin, that's what I'm trying to say. And then you've stopped it at step 1. So that's the main goal of tonight. So you can all stop that and let anyone else in your room know. So you can pick up on other people. If they're spreading it, you can maybe give them a little reminder, and I'll have this up in your room. The other way germs can be spread is obviously the obvious ones. These aren't complete to do nappy changing, so I'll just go over them briefly. But it's obviously coughing and sneezing, breathing contaminated air, which is from the coughing and sneezing. Obviously, all the rooms at your centre have air cons in them, and they do allow germs to fester, and they obviously circulate in the room. So trying to open the windows, especially when you're doing nappies, if it's suitable. Obviously, if it's weather conditions, is it too cold? We don't want to freeze the children, but if you can get fresh air into the room as much as possible, that helps a lot. Direct contact, animals and food. So your children probably won't be put into contact with too many animals, but obviously the food sources, and especially at the younger age where we are doing nappies, they have a lot of things in their mouth. They like things in their mouth. They like every toy in the room in their mouth. So making sure when you're on the nappy change, if you can just clean everything down. If they've brought something up with them, say they've brought like their favourite car, make sure you give it a quick disinfect and wash it off, and then at least you're stopping that germ from spreading further around the room. So this is just, there's actually a section in here specifically for how can diseases spread in education and care services. So I'll let you all have a little read through that when we've finished, and the rest is just on mainly ways to prevent infection and effective hand hygiene. So I'm going to go into a bit of exactly how to wash your hands when we've done. I might do it now actually before the hazard control, as while we're on the situation of germs. But this is just a little diagram of a little hand showing you how many different ways, I'll let you pass it on quickly, hand germs can be spread to different people and in different situations. So obviously touching animals, and then they've gone outside to play with their friends and they're running around and they've got another car, and hugging the parents at the end of the day. Yeah. So yeah, so you'll get all one of these packs when you leave. So, how to wash hands. So you wash your hands before you do a nappy change. You wash the children's hands throughout. The children's hand wash won't be as intense as this, obviously, because they are still laid on the mat. So I'll show you how to do that when we're up there. And then you also have to wash your hands after the nappy change as well. So this is the procedure you'll be taking. So wet hands with running water, preferably warm. Always add soap. So we try to use like hands-free dispensers, and we don't try to use the bars of soap just because obviously they fester with germs. Lather with soap and rub your hands thoroughly. Palm to palm, so obviously rub it between, and then back of the hands, in between your fingers and thumbs and fingers. So we're making sure that when we're actually rubbing the soap in, we are rubbing it on all surfaces of our hands. Rinse hands with water. You dry your hands thoroughly, and then your hands are clean. I like that little diagram. I'll leave that, when we're going to do the nappy change, I'll leave that up there so you can have a little look, as well as the procedures. So, yeah. So now, I don't need to choose this. Now we're going to do just any hazards. So, nappy changing. Obviously, you've got some stairs here. Most childcare centres will always have some stairs, and then also always lock into place as well. Yeah. I think that would incorporate. So they always lock into place because we don't want to see the children sliding in and out of the cupboard. That's not the desired effect. So while I've just got that there, obviously you put that down when you're about to change the nappy. That's just for the child to access, if they're able to walk up the steps. Can anyone think of any hazards that might occur when changing the nappy? Not that you can't be wrong. If you think it's a hazard, it can obviously be.
And then falling off.
Yeah, falling off the stairs, the change mat.
Yeah.
Both. Both is good, tripping. Just before we move on, what do you think we could do to prevent the child falling off the stairs and the change mat?
With like holding one hand on them? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. Hand on them on a change table?
Yeah, never. So one of the biggest rules when changing a nappy is to never leave the child unattended at the change mat. If you've forgotten to stack your resources up, so you haven't got any nappies left, or you've run out of gloves or wipes, and you're stuck there with a child, you can't leave that child. Obviously, there's going to be someone else in the room, there's going to be someone you can call. It's quite an open census, there's always someone you can call to get you something. If you have to move that child because there isn't anyone about, just leave their nappy on, because always make sure you've got all your resources before you start. Leave their nappy on, bring them back down off the change table, get the resources you need, and then put them back on again. Because if they fall off, obviously it is at quite a height, because it's at a safe height for us, so we're not bending over and hurting our backs, which is quite a long way for a child to fall, and they probably will do some quite serious damage. Yeah, another hazard anyone can think of? That was a really good one, that was the main one, so. That's quite a hard one. So if they bring toys up onto the change table, obviously consider, or if they're eating, it's kind of the same one if they're choking. If it's only a small toy and they're putting it in and out of their mouth, obviously they're laid down. So make sure that if they've brought something up, maybe get them to put it at the side, or you've taken it off them and just shown them. I know some children will get distressed because they're in the middle of playing maybe at a nappy change time, and they don't want to leave their favourite car because they just had to wait 10 minutes for their turn of that car, and then you're going to make them leave that car. So I always offer them to bring it up to the change table, and we just put it like to the side, just so then, especially if it's something small, they can't choke on it. And obviously food, I just let them finish that food before. They might have done a poo, but obviously yes, that's a health and safety, trying to get their poo changed for them, but at the same time we don't want them to choke in the process and make the whole situation a bit traumatic for them. Another hazard is very similar to the falling off one, but if you've got someone who's a bit distressed getting their nappy changed and they're riling about and you're trying to obviously steady them, you don't want them to fall off the mat, we don't want, not that you put too much pressure on them, but we don't want you to be having to restrain them and they're injuring themselves, so you can always get someone else to come and help you. It's okay to ask for help. Children sometimes are terrible for their parents and they don't want their nappy changed, and the parents are always amazed how they just lay down at kindy and get their nappy changed. So yeah, always ask for some help. If you need someone just to distract them for a minute, maybe they have a key educator in the room, if they're not quite used to yourselves yet, always get them to come over. And if you need to swap with someone else to do that nappy, that's fine. Obviously just make sure the child hasn't been left unattended at any time. As we go through, when you're doing the nappy change, we'll see if you can think of any more hazards, but so far that's about it. Oh, the only thing I was going to mention is the chemicals that you obviously use. So when you're washing down the mat after a nappy change, make sure that you use the soap and water. They're all really well labelled at this centre, so they're all, it says like exactly what's in the bottles. If you're not sure if a bottle is unlabelled, please check with someone what is in it, or best practice would be just to discard it and make sure you've personally filled up some soap and water and maybe write a label on it with the date, just so you know that that's what it is in there. The disinfectant is up there of course, but we try not to use a disinfectant on the nappy change table, because obviously if you put it on directly then another child's laying on it afterwards, it's going to irritate their skin, and it's not great for children to have direct contact with disinfectant even if it is diluted. That's up there mainly for more vomit situations and floor spills and yes, more bodily fluids that may appear on the floor. So now I've got a little challenge for you to do. I will just get some paper. Can I just move these to the side? You're going to need a little bit of room. I'll just put it there for you. And I've each got you an envelope. You can obviously help each other out with this, but if you try and do it by yourselves, that would be better. It is a bit, don't worry about getting it wrong, maybe do it to begin with, and then you can go through at the end and see what your final results were. So I've got your piece of it, paper, so sorry, put it underneath just so it doesn't smosh, it doesn't stand out for you. There we are. So these bullet points are actually, this is why I took this off you, it's actually this nappy changing sheet, so it's changing a nappy without spreading germs. So I'd like you to try and challenge yourselves to put them in order. So if you can do this, you are basically there to be able to change your nappy, because it's quite an extensive list. If you need any help, I could come over and give you a little hand. label them all out first. And it's a bit. So I will say, just before you think I've tried to trick you by taking one out, there isn't actually one that says put the nappy back on the child. That's just not actually on that list, but obviously that is part of the nappy changing process to put one back on.
Oh my goodness. So many.
It is, I know, that's why I took them back off you. I was giving a brief. I just want you to see what your idea of changing a nappy is, like how you would do it personally.
Where's pick up child?
So maybe one that says just lay it down on the mat or there.
Yeah.
Let me have a little. You're doing a very good job. No, I'm watching you all. Don't worry, I'm not judging anyone.